Bear spray is more effective than guns. That's maybe debatable and give people a false sense of security when they're out in the open, like I am right now. Again, I said it was spring and there could be bears around. I haven't seen any evidence while I'm filming this, so hopefully we shouldn't have to have a demonstration of how well this may or may not work. Some of the thoughts that I want you to ponder and think about this is the speed of bears. Here on Vancouver Island we have black bears, maybe some grizzly bears up on the north of the island. This is not their normal habitat, so wouldn't expect to see them, but you got to be prepared. Certainly down where I am, there should be no grizzly bears, and if they were, I would be quite shocked. But either way, I still need to be aware, be prepared while I'm out in the woods, because there are other creatures such as the black bears and such as cougars around here, and even wolves. Bears are extremely fast, faster than you would think. I have been driving in my Jeep and come around a corner on a logging road, probably not doing super fast. I'm being careful at that time, but I'm probably doing 40 kilometers an hour, 50 kilometers an hour, so we're getting up towards 30 miles an hour. And a bear has jumped out in front of me, out of the bush. I have scared it, and it starts running down the roadway. And it is getting away from me on the logging road. I certainly can't run that fast. I don't think many people can, especially when you're decked out in your gear. You got your boots on, if you got a pack on, you're not running 30 miles an hour through the bushes. Speaking of how fast the bears can go, I'm gonna put a link to a couple of videos, one for Stephen Rinella and one for Remi Warren, telling their story of when they were out. They were hunting elk, and they'd shot an elk. They tied it up in a tree. It had been, they were going back and forth, and it had been there for about a day. And they came back, and they sort of did some cursory checks. They admit, not as good as they probably should have. They let their guard down. They were getting ready to have lunch, probably from my stepping here, closer to here, so about that far away. Remi Warren's sitting down, and he's got his bear spray, he's got a pistol, sitting there across the way, and somebody's in front of it. I'm not sure who he said was in front of it, but you can watch the story and see. Stephen Rinella is sitting there chatting away. I don't know if what he had around him for protection that was out and available. Yanis Pudelis, I hope I'm not butchering his name, he was down a bit. He had both his bear spray out, he had his pistol out, within reach. So within reach here. There. They heard some commotion, and in came running this big grizzly bear. And it was so fast that they didn't get to click and register what they needed to do, and they weren't prepared for it. So the story goes that Yanis had all this stuff sitting there, and he reached and hit it with a hiking pole. The grizzly bear, as it ran by, and sort of distracted it. The bear had come through around Steve and Remi Warren, brushed by them, and Remi didn't have a chance to dive and get his pistol and the bear spray. So that just lets you know that even having these things around, false sense of security, because you're not paying attention, don't have your situational awareness going on, things can happen unexpectedly, quickly, and if you're not prepared, there may be nothing that you can do. I'm also going to put up a little video of me coming up the road, and there was a mother bear and cubs, black bears, I'm slowly going up the logging road, and I need to get by them. And I thought they were done their thing, and as I was moving, apparently they weren't. They dashed across the road, and you can see the cubs climbing up the tree. Just amazing how fast they can get up there. You're not going to outclimb a bear. Not a chance. Another instance is I was hiking down the trail. You know, got my pack on because I want to get the extra fitness going. So I've got my hunting pack on, and it's all weighted down. But I'm hiking along. You know, going hike. I heard something come behind me. I had my bear spray, and I had it in my pocket. So right there, ready to, available for grabbing. I heard this sound come. My heart goes, because it just was this crashing coming from behind me. I turn around like this. So obviously quicker. I turn around, and by the time I had turned around to look what it was, these dogs had, on either side of me, gone running by me. And I was just like, oh, the startled sensation. And then, but still, before I could even react, there's this jogger coming, and he's like, sorry. And I said, it's okay. And he goes by, and I thought about it, and I thought, man, I didn't even have a chance to identify what it was. Obviously, I didn't know it was dogs. Could have been a wolf, could have been a cougar, could have been a bear, who knows what. The thing is I wasn't paying as much attention as I should have been. And it gave me a startle, and it also made me realize that this was useless. This was not helping me in that situation. Whatever wanted to get me would have got me. So that's where I'm saying this is a false sense of security. Another issue with bear spray is that you pull it out, spray it. The bear may very well run straight through it because they're coming at speed and get you. So they've already come through the cloud, they've got you. If it's intent on getting you, it's going to get you. It's going to hit you before it has a chance to register that it's been sprayed. If it's an angry bear coming at you. A curious bear, maybe you'll deter it, which would be great. There's a story that was going around the internet a number of years ago. Todd down in the U.S. and a grizzly bear attacked him, and he had his bear spray. He sprayed the bear. The bear got him, mauled him, even though he had sprayed. So this is not going to save you. And that bear was because it was a mother bear, and he got in between it and the cubs. So it got him. And as a matter of fact, it got him twice. So I'll put a link to the video of him telling the story, and it's quite scary, because imagine getting attacked, getting through it, getting attacked again, getting through that, and worried that bear is going to come and try to finish you off. I think that story is a good lesson to look at. Another thing to think about with this bear spray is in the wind. The bear was coming down this direction right now. Where I am right now, the wind is coming from that direction, so it's blowing at me. So if I'm to spray, all that spray is going to come back and get me. I'm going to be incapacitated. It's not going to be pleasant. It's not going to be good, and you're not going to be able to be. You're going to lose your sight and being able to see what's coming at you, if it is coming at you, to even try to make an attempt at something else. So that's another thought to ponder. Think about that. So I've got some notes here. Wes Silver of Outside Magazine wrote an article in August of 2019. I'm gonna link it down below. I really do suggest you read it. And it says, does bear spray work? The original study that was written about effectiveness, there were two studies. One was written about effectiveness of firearms. Another one was written about effectiveness of bear spray. They were never meant to be a comparison. So there has been no study determining, what's more effective, your bear spray or a firearm. Thomas Smith, one of the co-writers of the study on the effectiveness of bear spray, had said, when a person is competent with firearms, and I mean competent under pressure, it is an effective deterrent I highly recommend. Conversely, those with little to no firearm experience shouldn't rely on a firearm to save them from a close encounter with a bear. I would definitely agree with that. If you get excited, obviously you're going to be excited if a bear is coming at you and you try to pull the rifle or the gun or whatever you got. Bang, miss, jam. You're going to panic and maybe you don't get it out before the bear's on top of you. Or you've just wounded the bear, it's on top of you. I think that's a very good thing to think about. That you need to be experienced, you need to practice. Probably practice. Another comment that Smith had said, unless you have a loaded gun in your hands with the safety off and a bullet in the chamber, bear spray is the better deterrent. So he said deterrent. You read further into these different studies, and you'll find that they found that bear spray was a great deterrent towards curious grizzly bears, because that's in Alaska, that's where they did these studies. Black bears, sort of stops them for the moment, but black bears will come back. It doesn't stop them. If a bear charges you, so one thing was, if a bear charges you and you have a gun in your hand, ready to fire, Smith would say use the gun. So you're not going to have your gun and go, oh, bear, drop the gun, get the bear spray out. I think you need to study video. I think you need to get out in nature and look and know what a false charge is and try to determine when you're shooting to save your life or someone else's life. So another thing to think about, bear spray has an expiration date. This bear spray has an expiration date right on the bottom here. Expired 12/2016. This is expired. My other bear spray, which is not expired, ironically, while I'm doing a video about safety in the woods and situational awareness, I forgot it at home. So I am making sure, well, I'm making noise now, but I am also making sure and looking around and checking my environment. So it's expired. And the reason these expire, people think, it's just a money grab. Well, no, there's a propellant in these. And the propellant may seep out over time, causing this to be less effective, so that when you pull it, shoot it, rather than doing a big spray, it just oozes, which is going to be no good to you if a bear is charging at you. So do check the expiration date. Do make sure that you have a current one. And then I would suggest, with the old bottle, use it to practice. I am going to practice with this one. I'm not going to practice here. This is an area that I have, I know that there are bears around. I have camped in my Jeep here. And the reason I'm not going to practice is because once the spray is out and on the ground, it's now an attractant. So it will bring around the predators. So you shouldn't be testing these on park trails that are commonly used for hiking, or where you know that there's going to be people using those areas, because you could be spraying it and not even realizing you're attracting or potentially attracting something coming in to that area. I'm a hunter, and when I go out, I do have my gun or my rifle, depending on what I'm hunting for, and I also have bear spray on me. I think both options are good to have. I don't think everything needs to be a lethal option. It doesn't necessarily need to be the first thing that you grab for is a gun. I think you can use bear spray. What I'm doing as a hunter while I'm out there, though, is I am being mindful and in the moment and cognizant of my surroundings. So I'm paying attention to the different signals. I'm looking on the ground to see if there's bear scat. I'm looking at the trees to see if they've been rubbed or there's scratches or hair or anything like that. I'm also using my sense of smell, because they're not necessarily the cleanest, freshest smelling animals out there. So I'm using my sense of smell as well. So if something smells different, smells off, I will stop. And the other thing is listening. Stop and just listen. And that's part of being out in nature too, is just listen to what's around you. Take it in. Enjoy it. Enjoy the environment that you're in. It sort of reminds me of one time I was hiking down this trail. It's a common place for people to go hiking. And there were a couple of hikers in front of me. And I'm just doing my thing. I'm pretty quiet when I hike. It's maybe not the greatest thing, could get predators, but I'm listening. I'm doing the smelling, I'm doing the looking, everything. Paying attention. So I could hear them. I could see the little bits of dust every so often. And I was walking faster than them. I came up behind them. And I would say within 3 feet of them. And I was getting ready to go around them. And I didn't interrupt them. I guess I could have said hi or something like that. I wasn't thinking about that at the time. I think I'll do that in the future, because they heard me at the last moment and they were like, ah! You know, they heard me at the last moment. They turned around and, ah! I scared the daylights out of them. And they turned around and like, oh my God, I thought maybe it was a cougar. Well, it's too late to think of it as a cougar or whatever. If it's that close to you, that's too close. I get a good chuckle out of that one. I think that hikers and hunters and everybody, I think you should carry bear spray. And why not? It's an option. But do the other things. Make sure you're aware. Keep your eyes open. Look and see what's around you. Scan. Take a look. Listen. What can we hear? Smell. Does it smell funny? Look on the ground. It's kind of cool what you can see, the different things, because you can see signs of different animals and different things around you while you're out in nature, and that's sort of the thing that we should be looking for. Keep the earphones off. It's safer to be able to hear what's going on around you. save that for another time. Bear bells. One of the writers of the initial study that I was talking about the bear spray effectiveness, Stephen Herrero, he said bear bells may actually attract the bears because it'll pique their curiosity because it's strange. It's like, what's that? Let's go check that out. So maybe it's not an idea to have those on. If you do see a bear, whatever you do, don't run. Face it. Pay attention. Look at it. See watch what it's doing. Talk to it. Let it know that you're there. Stay big. If you're in a group, get together. Look bigger. And the normal things where they say keep food away from camp. I would say be alert. Pay attention. Be in the moment with your surroundings rather than having those headphones on or lost in another world. So all of this said, I don't think bears and cougars and wolves I don't think they'll necessarily be the scariest thing. Sometimes a human being might be the scariest thing. They might be a little more unpredictable, and maybe when you run into them, you should have your situational awareness around them as well, and look for any signs of something that's not right. I hope this is somewhat informative, somewhat useful, especially with the links down below. Give them a read. Comment down below. Tell me if this was useful, or if there was something else that something that I missed, something that maybe I should cover more in depth and do a rebuttal to this, or whatever. I would enjoy seeing your comments, negative or positive, about this. It helps me learn as well about how to film and how to put together something useful. All right, thanks. And remember, check that expiration date. One final note I will say, since I put the bear sprayer away because I can't use it, what I do have is a whistle. So I can use that to hopefully startle something so it will stop what it's doing. It's also good to have one of these whistles when you're out hiking to alert rescuers or anybody like that if you get yourself injured and in some sort of trouble out in nature. All right, thank you everybody. And until the next one, have a good time out there.